So I think there are two elements that drive demand. So first of all, I think in the Anglo-Saxon world, demand is very much driven by institutional investors. So you could think about norms-constrained institutional investors such as pension funds, that have to reflect sort of the preferences of their beneficiaries. So these norms-constrained institutional investors now have to integrate sustainability issues, right? So that's one driver of demand on the institutional side. But I also think that there's a lot of demand from retail clients. Okay, so retail clients are also increasingly asking for sustainable investment products. And very interesting, I find, is that there seems to be a generational aspect to it. Okay, so there's a recent study conducted in 2015 by Morgan Stanley that finds that millennials, so cohorts born between 1980 and 2000, are about twice as likely to invest in sustainable investment products as the average respondent to the survey, which also tells you something that I think on the retail side, there's definitely sort of this generational issue that might be driving demand in terms of economic empowerment of the millennials becoming more important, or having more assets to invest.
You said that was the Anglo-Saxon countries where that was happening.
That was for the institutional demand.
Okay, so the millennial effect is global.
I think it's pretty global.
How is the financial sector in general reacting to sustainable finance, and in particular the sector in Switzerland?
So in general, I think you can say that the financial sector, institutions from all financial sectors in the world are dealing with sustainable finance to some extent. But what we do observe is that it is still very much regarded as a niche or a specialized topic or issue. Okay, so there are actually very few, if any, big financial institutions that make sustainability or sustainable finance part of their sort of core value proposition or their core strategy. And I think that also very much applies to Switzerland. So, I mean, in Switzerland, I guess all institutions are dealing with sustainable finance to some extent, but they still, regard it as sort of like a specialized topic, and you don't. At least from my reading, I don't get the impression that it is really in the center of their strategy.
Is that a mistake that Switzerland is making, or is that intentional? Do you think? Do they know what they're doing?
I guess it's difficult to answer that question if it's a mistake or not. I think it carries risks. Okay, so as I referred to earlier, is that there are these generational differences in preferences for investments. Okay, so you see that younger generations definitely have more interest in these products. Now, if you look at the what defines the Swiss financial sector, it's very much the cross-border wealth management industry. Okay, so that's really the activity for which the Swiss financial sector is most known. If you sort of push this idea of these generational differences a bit further, I think there's a risk in terms of not positioning yourself in terms of sustainable finance, because you might lose clients down the road. Okay, so you could think that if you take into consideration how much bequest there's going to be over the next 20 to 30 years, so there's going to be generational changes in terms of the financial decision maker. If you cannot offer credible sort of sustainable financial products to the younger generations, that might take over managing the wealth of families, for instance, then I guess there could be a risk of losing clients, definitely.
Professor Philipp Krüger, thank you very much.
Thank you.